Okay, people. So I really enjoyed meditations. And of course, I loved soul. So I was very interested to watch American Symphony. This is the new documentary from Matthew Heineman. It is produced by Lauren Domino, Matthew Heineman, Jodan Okun. It's executive produced by Alice Webb, Daniel Silger, Mark Robinson, Michelle and Barack Obama, Barack Moffat, Ryan Lynn, Suleika Jaouad, Jean Gallerano, Nina Singh Falklow, David Falklow, Stephen Farnoff, and Jon Batiste. It's co-produced by Tony Hardman, Julian McCall, Andrew Petirac, and Forsten Philo. It's associate produced by Charlotte Zonis, Adrian Luke Sinclair, Rianne Pyle, and field produced by Adrian Sinclair and Imran Vasanwala. Jon Batiste handles the music. I mean, that makes sense, right? Tony Hardman, Matthew Heineman, Claire Popkin, and Forsten Philo all were down with the cinematography. Sammy Dane, Matthew Heineman, Jim Hesson, and Fernando Villages edited the doc. We then had Smith Anthony, Andre Artis, Thurston Bayliss, Carl Gaffney, Tony Hardman, Matthew Heineman, Zad Noman, Forsten Philo, and William Tazuriz on sound. So we follow Jon Batiste and his now wife, Suleika Jaouad. And we also see footage of Stevie Wonder, James Taylor, Joe Salah, Questlove, Trevor Noah, Billie Eilish, Stephen Colbert, Louis Cato, during the documentary in a lot of kind of archival like videos and TV performances and things such as that. Okay, so the gist of this is in 2022, musician Jon Batiste finds himself the most celebrated artist of the year with 11 Grammy nominations, including Album of the Year. In the midst of that triumph, Jon embarks on his most ambitious challenge to date, composing an original symphony. This trajectory was upended when Batiste's wife, it's his life partner, best-selling author Suleika Jaouad, learns that her long-dormant cancer has returned. So yeah, that was it. Now, supposedly, right, this was meant to be a bit like Anthem, where Jon would go on the road with his band and kind of like experience different types of music, collaborate with different people in creating this symphony. But then COVID hits, right? COVID hits again, and everything got locked down, the craziness of it all. But I think a real big issue was the fact that Suleika, you know what I mean? She had cancer, leukemia when she was 22, right? Wrote a best-selling book about the experience. She had an ongoing blog during it, right? And cancer came back, right? So you can understand why he might not want to be out there, because when there's an autoimmune situation, it just puts you at so much more risk, so everything pivoted, right? Because you're watching, you're thinking, man, the letting cameras have this much access during this time, that's like, whoa. But no, they were doing something completely different, right? But it just so happens this happened. So what we get is this crazy piece that really captures these these moments, these terrible moments, that could just tear you apart. And we see how Suleika and Jon navigate this with love, with empathy, with just profound strength, and then music and art, right? Just all of these things, we see how they help them get through these moments, and it's remarkable, right? So Jon's on top of everything, just coming off the back of Soul, right? He did the soundtrack with Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross and Questlove. They all worked on that. He's heading the house band on the Tonight Show, right? So there's all of these things that are going so well. And then he's nominated for 11 Grammys, which is like, whoa, 11 Grammys. And that's when everything changes, right? Everything changes then. Because it's not just the Grammy situation and then the fallout of that. Because there's fallout, people, right? It's on the same day. That's when Suleika, she finds out that the cancer's come back. So at the moment, you'd think should be the happiest. And if you did not know, right? If you didn't know what else was going on, you see him out, right? You see him having to do the press and the performances and just all of this, and you would not know. You wouldn't know, right? Which is one of those things, because people see photos, they see people on social media, and they just be like, oh, God damn, that person living that life, fuck them, We saw it with Chadwick Boseman, when people were be like, oh, look at him, he's losing all this weight. Oh, what's he doing? And then, he dies, and everyone finds out, oh, he had terminal cancer. So he made all of these films while in excruciating pain. And not once did he, let anyone know that shit. So Jon's going through all of this, and you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know. And the funny thing is, right? So you have this thing going on, but then the teardown starts, because people do not want to see someone succeed. So it's then, oh, why should he be nominated for this many awards? Why should he be nominated for a classical award? Why should be nominated for, you know what I mean? And it's just like, why not? Right? You never hear a good argument for the other, right? There's never, I mean, he shouldn't have been awarded for because of this and this and this, right? And it makes sense on this level and blah blah blah. No one can ever justify their ridiculous claims. But we're watching this and we're seeing them just stay strong. And then they have these nice moments. Like they went sledging. Yes, sledging in the snow. Probably John had never been sledging before, which actually I was gonna say that's kind of crazy, but right, I think I grew up near, you know what I mean? I was kind of in the sticks. Well, it wasn't quite the sticks, but there's a lot of green, right? Big woods, big park close by, big fields. You know what I mean? There was farms, not right on my doorstep, but not that far away. You know what I mean? You could go pick fruit, see animals, all of that. So in the winter, you go to the big field when it's covered in snow and you can sledge, right? But yeah, if you grew up in the city, you ain't sledging. So yeah, I'm gonna be like, man, I can't believe he's never sled. But then yeah, it depends where you grow up. He grew up in New Orleans, right? So yeah, like I don't think there's many hills. You know what I mean? Um, so yeah, I get that. I can actually I understand. But we see this moment of them sledging and snow fighting with friends. It's nice, right? So they are navigating this experience, you know, and we see this other point where he's got his head in the pillows, you know, so like he's in hospital and he's got his head in the pillows and he's talking to someone and he's just like, yo, I wish I could just hide. I wish I could go. And the person he's speaking to, it might have been his mother, maybe. And he's just like, yo, it's at these times when you know what I mean? Go towards the thing that scares you. Like embrace it and rise above it. Use the things that you love to give you that strength to continue and be there for Suleika. Something like that. That wasn't verbatim, people. You know what I mean? But it's these moments that, god damn, it just fucking rips at you, man. It rips at you. It's like I'm watching this doc and it's just, it's tough as fuck. Right? Because like dealing with like illness, it's like you get it. Right? I understand this shit. And you just think about, you know, you and the frailties of life and you know what I mean, what issues could be, what could be in store, right? And how do you keep going, right? Just all of these things just flash through as you're watching this and you're seeing these people just achieve and strive and survive. You know, we see these other lovely little moments, you know, like I had to stop. I had to stop watching, and I just had to message my girl and just like, you know what I mean? Because it's, I think it reminds you of just what is important in life, and although right that times can be tough, like 2023 has been a shit year. It's not been great, people, but there's been these magical moments, right? And you just have to kind of hold on to those, right? You hold on to those moments. And that's what we see here. That's what we see here. And on top of all of this, right, he is putting together this American symphony. So he's collaborating with all of these different talented musicians to create this piece of work, which he will then perform at Carnegie Hall. But he's trying to take this new approach to a symphony, incorporate all of these different styles, right? Just so it's not the typical thing that you would see, right? It's not the typical configuration of what you may see, right? He's doing something a little bit different. And so we see them creating, that gestation of music, right? That acorn of something, of an idea. You know what I mean? As they play a notes and then think, yo, what's that? Huh, that's it. Oh, let's do that. All right, let's take it to a lower note. All right, let's try with that. And so we see all of these different things, right? This whole creative process, which is fascinating. I also see him, go visit people, right? He goes to see an old teacher from his time at Juilliard, which is real interesting because he's been gone from there. He's been graduated for time, but there's still stuff, right? There's still stuff that you learn, which just shows you never stop learning, right? You should always be open to ideas and comments because we see that in this scene. It's it is. It's really, really just engrossing, right? Just watching this and seeing the fragility but beauty of life, right? Seeing the journey, the many journeys, right? And the roads in which they can take and how people pivot, how people maintain, how people rise up. Even at the end, when we see the coverage from Carnegie Hall, it's still not smooth sailing, but it feels fitting. It feels fitting what happens that happens. And then when we see the pivot, right, it's perfect for what he was trying to do. Bring together all of these different, genres, all these different styles, right? Because if you're just rigid, I don't think you can do what he did. What we see him do in the face of a crazy issue. So it's just an incredible, happenstance gives us this beautiful finish. It's definitely emotional, people, right? I've seen people say that it doesn't go deep enough, but I don't know what you're looking for here. Because we see people dealing with so much stuff and these vulnerable moments, right? We see, we get this idea of the beginnings, the origins, how they've grown together, right? How they've transcended the pain and the hardship to what is happening now. And it's incredible. It's lovely. Heineman does an incredible job of capturing all of this and knowing when to get in close, right? Get those close-ups, but when to pull back, but still create that connection for the viewer. It's all there. It's just all there, and it's great. I loved it. I loved it. I think if you liked Anthem, you know, that's on Hulu and Disney Plus. We looked at it earlier in the year. I think it was earlier in the year, or it may have been the end of last year. I think it was this year. But if you like that, you're gonna love this, right? If you just like these documentaries that get under the cover, that tap into the essence of something, then American Symphony will definitely speak to you people, because it spoke to me. It spoke to me. So yeah, it's on Netflix, and man, I can't recommend it enough. So yeah, go check it out. Go check out Baptiste's music, because it's just as great as that. So there you go, people. American Symphony.